Good morning, everyone. It's Jazz. It's the West Ham Irons channel, and this is the Matchday morning chat show on the eve of the West Ham United Newcastle United clash, which is at 2 o'clock. Brighton Liverpool is the other game at 2 o'clock, and then you've got one more game at 4. So yeah, back to Sunday games. It was nice to go to the Sheffield United game because it was kind of Saturday 3 o'clock kickoff at home, which we don't get much often of, is it really? But I suppose on the back of that is because we're in Europe last couple of seasons, so you can't really complain about that. But yeah, it's a Matchday morning chat show, relaxed chat show, talking about the game and one or two other things that have been breaking news around the club, including last night's developing huge news for me is that it looks like Jarrod Bowen will officially put pen to paper on a new long-term contract at West Ham, and negotiations have been going on for a number of months. And listen, like I said last night, I didn't think this was going to happen. It's just my gut feeling, and I'm very, very happy, very, very delighted, very surprised at the same time as well. What's even more surprising, even though it'll be probably yet to be confirmed, I think, in the coming days, but it looks like good friend, ex-employee, probably the most reliable person out there in terms of news that comes out of the club, may I add, alongside Fabrizio Romano. So Fabrizio broke the news that it's all agreed verbally and gentleman's handshake, contract's done. He should hopefully officially sign it in the coming days. And then X this morning, through his very reliable sources, mentioned that there doesn't seem to be any release clause in there due to the fact that he will now become the highest earner at the club, and that was sufficient sort of for his team to accept that there's no release clause in there. So listen, like I said, it's great news. At the same time, like one or two of the other sort of news floating around, you got to say well done to David Sullivan. Again, I'm really fair in this. I do lose it sometimes in the channel. I do get upset about a lot of things. I'm very passionate about West Ham. I'm honest about my views. I explain why sometimes I think the way I do and back it up. And then if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, that's life. And I've knocked David Sullivan enough in the past. And you just have to say that he was right in terms of keeping David Moyes. I would have sacked him in October. You know what I'm like. When we lost that game to Chelsea after being 1-0 up last season, I went ballistic. I wanted him out the club. For one reason, whatever, he stayed. We won a trophy. Good start to the season. Declan Rice, obviously, no one to try. I mean, Sullivan really tried to keep Sullivan. Gabe was going to make him the record earner in the history. But when someone wants to go, someone wants to go. No fault the owners. And I'm sure Sullivan has worked really hard behind the scenes to get this deal done. So you've got to applaud Sullivan in this, right? Good amount of money spent in the summer. We've got a good foundation now. I think especially with the news that Bowen is staying, we can build a team in and around him. Good foundation. Hopefully Areola improves bit by bit, and we'll have the spine of the team is very important if you're successful, isn't it? One is that the manager's there for a number of years. He can implement his ideas or change them if they need to be tweeted. With Moyes, it's always going to be that thing where we want a bit more or a lot more expansive football than David has traditionally played at West Ham. That's always going to be my complaint. It's the DNA of Sporting West Ham. That will never go away. Hopefully, there should always be hope in life that bit by bit we do. There was a stat out there that we've scored in every single game this season, I think. So so slowly, but the spine is very important. Areola, centre-backs through to centre-mid. So now we've got Paqueta and Alvarez in the middle with JWP Prowse. So obviously room for improvement is up front. We need an Antonio replacement. And I am still unsure on Agard. Mavropoulos I haven't seen enough of. Zuma getting on a bit. Not really a lot, but getting there, isn't he? So there's room for improvement there. But when you look at players like Bowen, Zuma, Alvarez, Ward-Prowse, Paqueta, and listen, those players would get into more teams in the Premiership than not, so we should be very grateful that they're at West Ham, and they are really, really good players, worth a lot of money, mind you. So we're kind of getting there. Like I mentioned before, with Rice gone, we are that bit better than the squad last season, all-round better team, so really, really good. And let's see what's happening in the chat. Robert, hope you're doing good, my man. Yeah, 2 o'clock kickoff for West Ham. Newcastle, the boys are going, mate. The boys are going. I don't know if you remember, Robert, my journey I go once a month now, mate. I used to have a season ticket. I go once a month. And even the last game, Sheffield United, mate, 2 hours in the car to get there. 3-hour journey on the way back home, including took me 1 hour to get out that torrid car park at Westfield, mate. And I've made up my mind now that if I have to drive the next time, mate, I can't park in Westfield anymore. I'm not going through that again. And I think that's the mental block I've got of the ground, because I don't look forward to going a lot of the time, because it's just a journey, and all around the ground is just such a vast space. Westfield, I always get lost still, mate, So I think what I need to do is find a road near Hackney Wick to park, and then going to the ground from where the players go, not the block 236H, which gets a lot busy. So something I need to work on, mate. But hope you are doing good. Robert's in good spirits, mate. West Ham, Newcastle. Straight away when you think about West Ham, Newcastle, for me, this is a real interesting test for West Ham. Because we're still oohing and eyeing with where we're heading, isn't it? We're doing good. But we're still kind of unsure in terms of sort of want to be tested, Liverpool was such a shame. If Antonio was on it a bit more, or we had a different striker or a better striker or striker DNA, that first 6 minutes at Anfield, we could have been definitely 1-0 up, if not 2, right? And then Agard gave them that help that don't really need at Anfield, and the game just slipped by, didn't it? So this is a really good test. Brighton was another one, wasn't it? So this is a really good test, and will tell me a lot about the team where we're going. We both played in Europe. They played a day early at home. We probably arrived, a day later, which it's tricky. But I think we're used to it now. I think the squad is doing so well in Europe. Broke that wonderful record. 17, 18 games unbeaten. Broke Don Revy leads. It's going in the right direction, right? And like I said, got to keep momentum going in the league. We're still in the Carabao Cup. Really looking forward to that home clash against Arsenal under the lights. I'm going to be there. We'll do footage, for the channel and things. Really looking forward to that. Hopefully Declan Rice plays, and that will give him a nice welcome as we normally do. But yeah, really good test. This is a big test for us, and I'm really, really interested to see how we do. I had a look at the head-to-head last season at home. We got whacked 5-1, if you remember. Before that, there was a number of draws, and then we won at St James's Park. I was kind of there, 4-2, opening game of the season. It's Callum Wilson, isn't it, everyone? Again, they're teasing us, saying he's not fit, but come on, he's going to bust a gut to play against one of his buddies, Antonio, on that very, very annoying podcast that they do. So Callum Wilson's record is incredible. It's incredible. We used to mention Lukaku's record against West Ham, and then they mentioned how many goals Salah has scored against West Ham. Everyone out there just seems to have their best record against West Ham. And with Callum Wilson, I remember when he first came up with Bournemouth into the Premiership, we were at Upton Park then. He scored a hat-trick at Upton Park in his first ever game. So, and for me, I don't want to go into if I don't like him or not. It's my mixed feelings about him as a person, and a lot of it's some of the things he says about our club. But as a striker, that's a complete striker for me. That is what a striker should be. He's got pace, he can head it, he can hold it, he makes those amazing runs, very hard to mark. That is a perfect Ferrari, Porsche, Aston Martin of a striker that I would love at West Ham. Obviously a younger version, obviously an less injury prone version, but man, that's the standard that we haven't had for so long, since Dean Ashton at least. Arnie did a great job, still miss Arnie to this day, even though what he did at the end. I miss Sacco as well. And all these guys were, they had mental issues, they went off the rails, but proper strikers, hold a line, hold it up. had a bit of swagger about him. That's what Callum Wilson's got. Whether you like it or not, he's got that confidence. He oozes it. He's got that swag about him. He looks assured. He knows what he's doing. Just my kind of players. My kind of players. Let me know in the chat if you miss having a proper striker. But having said that, again, Antonio's still done a really, really good job. He's top scorer for us. But if you really asked him, I think he would prefer to play on the wing behind a main striker, because under David Moyes, especially with Antonio around 33, it's not an easy role to perform, is it, everyone? It's not easy, and he struggles to press, and I continuously have a go at him over that. It is one of those things. Right, Barney, I thought I was going to do the show without my glasses, but it looks like I'm struggling, mate. Yeah, what it is, there are some people who do know where to park, but understandably they don't want to give their secrets away because it's few and far between, mate. It's precious, mate. So I will find out. I need to sort that out. I mean, I come via the Crossrail from west to east, so. But then a lot of the Sunday services, Crossrail is very limited, mate, which is very, very annoying, because Crossrail is a great idea. It starts all the way in Reading, out west, near where I live, and then it goes all the way into Stratford and beyond, Chadwell, Hoof, all that area. So it connects west to east, one single train. So when I go to work around Liverpool Street, I just get off that one train, and it's a comfortable train, big train, nice aircon. But when you go from that Crossrail to the Underground, which thankfully I don't, mate, you realise that underground system of London needs replacing. It's so outdated. It's not fit for humans to travel in, I'm telling you, right? And I understand it's Victorian tunnels and all of that we'll go into on another show, but yeah, that's kind of my moan anyway. Well, Robert, if you watch the ladies' games, that's brilliant, mate. But for me, I just about have time to watch the men's game, and hands up, I admit I don't really watch the women's game, mate, and hopefully in time I will, but it's just the time, isn't it, mate? But if you support the women's football, the team, that's great, mate. Brilliant. Yeah. I mean, Mopé surprised me and Barney. I really used to like him. I don't know, he's gone off the rails, and he's available for a really cheap price, and now I think he's back at Brentford, mate. You know, I used to like Neil Mopé, used to hold it up, strong little tenacious, ferocious little striker, good with penalties. Just career's just gone off track a bit. I think they're out there, mate. They're out there because I always said it's a squad game and Moyes needs to play more than one formation. But because we've only got one Antonio and limited on the wing back, full back situation at times, it's always going to be 4-2-3-1, mate. I like 4-3-3. I like three centre-backs at the back with wing-backs. So, obviously, Newcastle, as an example today, luckily Gordon's suspended. So, they've got plenty of options at wing-back, mate. Full-backs, you know. They've got Gordon. They've got Trippier. They've got, actually, they've got the youngster they bought from West Ham who's gone out on loan again, isn't it? Ashby, he's there or thereabouts. They've got 2-3 others. They're all right, and they're kind of, yeah, again, there's a confidence around Newcastle following that result in midweek. They're going to bring plenty of support, vocal support, really loyal. Back in the day, used to be 3 clubs used to judge as being unlucky, never win anything, huge crowds, huge following. Used to be Man City, West Ham and Newcastle used to judge as the 3, and obviously one or two of them have got, well, they all got the money apart from us, isn't it? But I suppose we've done all right, and we've got a ground, haven't we, for now. That's another interesting thing. I think the current mayor, I think he's not popular. I don't know what his feelings are around the ground, but apparently the elections are coming up next year, and it looks like there's going to be a new mayor, lady, I think, and she's got other ideas of how to deal with West Ham London Stadium. One of those could be that she'll be happy to get rid of it. It's a pain in the arse. It's losing money. Sadiq thinks he's what he is, mate. You know, what can I do about that? But I think we've got to own it. If we want to stay in there, we've got to own it. There was hope that if Qataris bought us, or Middle East with that kind of clout and money, they would have enough money to just walk away and build another one. That was kind of one of the things I was thinking. The other thing I was thinking, they got that much money that they had enough money to knock it down flat and just start again. You know, but until we get that kind of money, it probably will make sense to at least purchase it for now. Kretensky, as you're hearing, he doesn't really have any kind of plans to buy it outright, and he's busy buying other stuff, really. So it's gonna be, I think, next year, maybe when the new Lord Mayor comes, that we can think about, improving things. It is improving bit by bit, you know. Another thing that came out is that, I don't know if you know, but under the agreement when we moved to the London Stadium, the price for beer was meant to be lower than the average of Chelsea, Tottenham and Arsenal. But this company, I forgot the name of it, they've continuously broken this rule. So I think the average was about 50, 60, 70, 80 pence more. I looked at the last game, so I think that's 6'2". I think a good friend of mine, Nigel Khan, was mentioning that they keep breaking this kind of policy, and more needs to be done on it, really, which is unfortunate. You know, it's come down a notch. I think I try not to eat or drink too much around the ground anymore. Cost of living, you know, I've got a couple of kids at uni. I need to sort of watch that, and I don't buy the program anymore either. It is expensive, and it's not a good read anymore. Years ago, I'm a huge West Ham program collector. I've got most of the home games since 1970. I just never, from 2 years ago, I stopped reading the program. I kept buying it out of a habit because I've got a collection, but it's got to the stage where it's advertisement after advertisement. There's nothing interesting in it anymore. And obviously, whatever you want to read is on the internet now anyway. In those days, if you wanted to hear what the manager's saying, you had to read the program. If you wanted to read an interview about the player in the West Ham program, you had to buy it. There wasn't much else out there like YouTube or anything like that. So I think times have changed. I don't think there's a future for the programs anymore. That's just my view. And I don't know how much it is now. Is it £5, £6, £7 now, you know? It is what it is. What's going on? Cosmos has joined us. Cosmos. Again, Cosmos, the good thing is we're doing well in Europe, mate. We're top of that group. Keep surprising us, don't they? And long may that carry on. And the other thing, mate, is that we've started reasonably well. Obviously, we had those City and Liverpool defeats, but we got that win against Sheffield United, even though Greedy Chaz wanted a couple of more goals. So we're sitting 7th, 8th, whatever. So that makes me less nervous and slightly more confident. And I always think like that, okay, if we don't win, then we still in there, aren't we, in the top 10, you know? It's different if you're in the bottom 5 and you've not started well, and then the manager's under pressure, the fans are jumping up and down. Then every game becomes an extra bit harder, doesn't it? So that's why, Cosmos, today I'm kind of all right with it. But what I have said, you might have missed it, is this is a very big challenge for us, a very interesting challenge for us. Newcastle are a club at the moment that I look up to, respect, and think they've got a decent squad, decent sort of way of playing, decent manager, decent crowd, everything, and it's going to be interesting, mate. And they beat us 5-1 at home last season as well. We'll go into the formation of what they did last time quickly. I just want to catch up with the chat, because that's what it's all about, isn't it? That's it, mate. Yeah, Nagaki was another one, mate. Went to Watford. That was a weird one, wasn't it, Barney? You went to Watford, and probably working in Tesco, stacking the shelves now. And there's some weird things out there. Got that Perkins at Leeds. I don't know how much he's going to have a game. But then again, they got relegated. So listen, I don't know what kind of advice the families, agents give these kids. But for me, if West Ham had sort of given me my chance most of my life, and I'm there or thereabouts getting into the squads now and again, I think I owe them some loyalty. I think it's so weird how Liverpool City are just stealing 16-year-olds who perhaps been at the club since they were 8, 10, 12. How parents can do that. I know parents say, oh, you're not going to get the chance to sign for Liverpool City again, but I think you're risking sort of not getting into Liverpool's team, then going all the way down second division, third division. Whereas West Ham, we're kind of alright, comfortable, and we do give a chance. I mean, I know Moyes hasn't. Moyes needs to improve on that. I get it. Maybe it's because of that, but I would just believe in my confidence a bit more. Like I think Rice, the England thing was amazing, wasn't it? I've got a lot of fans who from Ireland, from Dublin, and they're still not happy with Rice, what he did, but the boy had confidence. He could have easily just stayed being a Republic of Ireland player, would have been captain by now, 200-300 caps. But he goes, no, I think I'm good enough to get into the England team. There's not many players like that, and fair enough, he proved his worth, didn't he? He's a regular now. Danielle, I hope you're doing well. Yeah. I mean, it's a shame. That's most Sundays, often than not, where Crossrail doesn't run regularly, in terms of it might get you to the game, but on the way back there might not be a really good service, really. But hope you're doing well. Not a good start for me, is it, mate? But I'm very happy to lose, mate, and to be showing up. I'm very, very happy. I reckon a lot of you are judging by the comments, but we are happy with the news, and it's good to see that there are still some nice, sensible. And I thought he was always sensible anyway, but I had a feeling that with Rice going, when the leader in the pack leaves, like Harry Kane, Spurs, and then sometimes they all follow, don't they? But it looks like in this instance, the Declan thing was a one-off. Paqueta, City coming, he's probably going to go anyway. But listen, yeah, they can go. But I'm happy that he's grounded. He's got a kid. He's all right in the area. He's settled. Yeah, Danny Dyer's like the father-in-law's a pretty passionate West Ham fan. I don't know if those things count or not, but he's a grounded guy. I think he's from a really sort of normal, traditional family. Looks like, And again, I don't want to get into trouble, but sometimes that's not the case when you buy I'll give you an example, some of the players from South America or somewhere else where it's a bit different to them in terms of the whole package. Whereas some of the British players, shall I say, or even better, some of the local people from London, they might have a bit more feelings for the club long term and things like that, really. Clean sheet, eh? What with Callum Wilson playing, mate? But I hope you're doing good, mate. Hope you're doing good. But yeah, Callum Wilson, mate, it must be a psychological block. And for me, listen, again, I'm going to keep an eye on Agard again. I'm sorry, he's done all right at Sheffield United, got the blocks in, got his body on the line, but Sheffield United wasn't really a test for me. This is a test. This is a test for all the players, and that's why I'm really looking forward to this game. I think they're literally one place below us. And I know in the future they've got much more money to blow at this project. But at the moment, I think us and them are kind of neck and neck. Obviously, they're in the Champions League. I get that. But in the league, this is a good challenge for West Ham and vice versa for them, I think. Yeah, that's what I mean, Danielle. We get something at the game today. That's a really, really good. And it tells me that we're going to have a okay season at a minimum, I think. Obviously, Mavropanos has yet to start to make those first team appearances, put pressure on that. Kudos. A lot of you want to see him in starting at least in whatever formation Moisey thinks about. And whatever we say, especially me, against Emerson and Kufal, they're doing all right. They're hanging in there. They're kind of giving everything they've got, especially Emerson. He surprised me as well. He's got a really nice run of games, and he's doing all right, isn't he? But I'm always greedy. I always want us to do a bit more. And I still think the next window, let's get some young defenders in there, even more. I know we've got Mavropanos through it, but I think we still need to get one or two more bodies in there, and a striker especially. And there's no harm in improving when you are doing okay. That's the key. Why the big teams do well, like City, Liverpool. Liverpool might have gone through that a couple of years ago, won the league, won the European Cup, but then I think Klopp didn't actually that much. He delayed it a bit and got them off the rail a bit. But you got to add. The old Liverpool teams always did that. They put the medals away in the drawers, brought 2-3 people in that would challenge the current 11 and motivates you. And that's what we need in this squad, don't we? We need two players going to challenge each other in every position. Antonio, we haven't got that. Fullbacks, we haven't got that. Goalkeepers, we kind of do. Centre mid, kind of, because don't forget Downs is on loan, so he's another body we've got. We'll follow Downs as well. We'll see what happens with that. I'm following Broja as well, by the way. I'm a big fan of Broja. Second game back from injury, scored in the first game last week. Not sure he did anything yesterday, but he certainly started the game. They won 4-1, so keep an eye on Broja. We've been linked with him for a long time. Captain Marvel. You're right. The only thing I was thinking was they were at home, so they didn't travel, did they, mate? Even though they got a long journey to West Ham, That's the thing with Newcastle fans, isn't it, mate? It's just wherever they are, it's a long journey for them for every game, isn't it? So when they're playing Brighton, used to be Southampton, certainly Bournemouth this season, London clubs, that's a long journey for away Newcastle fans more often than not. So hats off to them. I went up there last time, a couple of years ago, had a good time with them. They're all right, very passionate. Listen, I'm glad you were confident, not me. No, I thought he's chatting to Declan Rice and he's going to try to get into a Champions League club, and there's not much we can do. We can't get in his way and try to get the most. And I was nervous because we left it later than Rice's contract, and so that was like a bit risky from the club. I think the Souček and Kufal, I think Kufal has perhaps not going to get a new deal now, what I'm hearing, but Kufal has or about to sign, and that'll come out as well. So we've been busy in the negotiations area with a lot of contracts. Yeah, just at that time we didn't know, did we? That time we didn't know. Obviously now we do know that he's one of the first names on the England squad, isn't it? Yep. Well, I don't think anyone will leave Newcastle now. The kind of run they're on now, and then he suddenly found his old kind of manager Eddie Howe, didn't he? So that's the thing. Let me show you the formations when we lost 5-1 last season, everyone. Looks like we played kind of 4-3-3. The thing is, even that last European game, no one knew what formation we were playing, and you just had to follow the game, and we were interchanging all over. So if you looked on the Sky app for that last European game, you looked on the BBC app, or you looked on Flash Score, and even Sky Sports, they were all showing different formations, even TNT Sports or whatever. So sometimes you have a look and we're floating about all over the place. Sometimes you'll see kind of Alvarez really close to the two kind of centre-backs in a kind of a sweeper role. Sometimes if Antonio isn't playing, then up front they're all sharing that deal. Antonio goes to the wing more often than not. Bowen will go central. Kudos stays on the wing more often than not. So it's all over the place. There isn't really a set formation sometimes in a lot of the recent games I'm watching, and perhaps that's across the Premiership now. So you got a vague idea how they're going to set up, but as the game starts, they're all over the place, the players, I think. So, but for your interest anyway, in that 5-1 defeat last season, yeah, Newcastle 4-3-3. Three across the middle. They've obviously added Italian guys, so yeah, they got a lot of power, a lot of tackling strength in there. Got Almiron, he's kind of back to his best, scoring goals and quite skillful. Got a few injuries they have, so we don't know who's going to be fit. Is it going to be Isaac? Is it going to be Callum Wilson? We're not sure. I think Kudos, what I know of him, like I was mentioning, it has to be. I mean, Antonio, I don't know. I think he's a serious doubt. I don't know. But let's first assume Antonio is going to play. I want to see Antonio and Kudus on the pitch together at the same time. I've got to see that from the start. And I think it'll go quite well. So if Antonio is fit, then obviously Antonio's up front. And then those three behind, you've got to mix it up, haven't you? Between, I don't know, Paqueta, Bowen and Antonio, I suppose, isn't it? Yeah, Paqueta in the middle, Kudos in the middle, and then Bowen in one of those places, and obviously Ward-Prowse, Alvarez behind. But I obviously, like I said, if Kudos has come in now, I would have a really chat with him, and I want to make sure I'm happy with him, make sure he's happy, and give him the best chance to be in the position he wants to be. And that's the first thing I'll ask any player that I've been watching you. For me, this is what you can do, but for me, I wouldn't force players into positions or formations that they don't want to play. You've got to be honest with them. Instead of bullying them, forcing them into something they don't want to do, you've got to ask them, put their arm around them and say, mate, what do you think? Like, what would you like to do? What's your best? And they might, just try that. And then try them in those games, 5-6 games. That's what I want to see. And Ben Rama, everyone. I know football's a funny old game and things can change. At the moment, it's not quite happening for him. For me, he does go missing in those big games. Today is a big game. He's in Europe more often than not now, but I don't know if the time's ticking for him. For me, perhaps it hasn't quite worked out for him. I'll be big enough to keep him in the squad for Europa and Carabao Cup. I like to. I mean, he's a good lad and things like that, but he's not consistent if you kept playing him through the whole season. There'll be a lot of games. A lot of games where he'll be average or below. That's the worry, But whether we can carry him as a sub, I wouldn't mind, but it's not my money, is it? Do you know what I mean? Barney's back. Barney. Yeah, you're right, mate. You're right. Daniela Kudos is a great talent, but Thursday showed. Let's see what happens. I mean, obviously, even the Sheffield United game, he came on, there was no one up front, and he did that dribble. He went past 4 or 5 of them. For me, he looks all right. He tries to get in the box, tries to score a few goals. But what you need to do is find the best position and keep playing him in that role. But what we usually find, Daniele, is that we buy players in top form, and then we take a long time bedding them in. We don't start them enough. Or we start them and we take them off too early, and the next game we don't bring them in again. That can kill off a player's momentum for me. For me, you signed a player because he's been damn good a year before and he put a lot of money on the table. And I think the board would like to see that, you know. If you back the manager up for his at least one of his top signings, you want that signing in from day one. Because fitness shouldn't be an issue, right? He plays international games and all that kind of thing. Play him in his best position, and then more often than not, I think that's good for confidence. I think what's not good for confidence is when you're just sitting on the bench and you're not starting regularly. Even though you might think, oh yeah, it's because we're gradually bringing them in, don't want to rush him, don't want to put too much pressure on him. He's sitting on the bench watching the pace of the game, how the Premiership is. Listen, I'm sure you know, everyone knows about the Premiership. Everyone knows about that league, you know, through one way or another. But that's me. And that's again me thinking about how we've dealt with Haller and Skamaka and Felipe Anderson. I think with Felipe Anderson, he wasn't physical enough for the league. But then that's our scouting systems, you know. Pellegrini bought a lot of expensive players back then with Jack Wilshere. What a waste of money that was. Talk about fragile, do you know what I mean? So a lot of mistakes there, and Sullivan took back the purse strings and control, understandably. You got to buy players according to kind of, you know, your system and the Premier League. So Anderson, for me, yeah, he's ticking along. Lazio, I think he's at, is he? Yeah, he's doing all right. He plays more often than not, but I don't know what happened. His confidence just went. He stopped taking on players and then passing back, and then that was the end of it, really. So bit of history there for you guys. Captain Marvel. Yeah, we're used to it, mate. And listen, we are so suited to the European game, aren't we? And even kind of that game, Freiburg, you could sense that Freiburg were afraid of us and respected us. So we're getting some kind of bit of a reputation now in Europe. Teams, not certainly, yeah, we won bloody one of the tournaments, you know. So teams are wary of us now. I was expecting a harder game than what it was. I thought they were going to come at us, but they were kind of not sure. They were pretty afraid about how we might hit them in the counter-attack, and long may that carry on. I mean, again, if you remember last year, we won every single game, not even drawn, we won every single game in Europe, which led to a bit of favouritism when the second draw was made, isn't it? So we got things like the second leg at home, extra seedings, and we're getting more and more points, don't forget, in the UEFA system. And I forgot, I was going to do one more thing where, I don't know if you guys have heard, but the European League, the Champions League, is going to be changed in 3-4 years' time. It's going to be slightly different format. There's going to be more teams in there. So I'm going to do a bit more research on that and do a program in the next couple of days on that. And it might mean more of a chance for clubs like West Ham to perhaps in the future go there. And I think it's going to be more of a league, a bigger league. Obviously, we found out about the Super League, didn't we? So perhaps they're trying to do a bit like that. But hopefully they're not thinking about closing the door. You know, there's no promotion relegation. That's crap. Keep it open. Yeah, so let me do a bit more research on that. But that's coming around the corner, everyone. I read about that. Listen, when he walks on that pitch, he entices West Ham fans, and when he scores more often than not, he goes towards the West Ham fans with a corner. He punches a corner flag. He looks us in our face. He laughs at us. Not good, mate. Not good. Winds us up, mate. Oh, that's another one we forgot about. Fornals, good lad to have around the squad. But I don't know what his best position is, like I mentioned many times. Is he CDM? Is he attacking centre mid? Is he a winger? I don't know, mate. All I do know is he's kind of, yeah, he comes in the sub. But then he's like Ben Rama. If you start Fornals in 10 games in a row, half those games is going to be average or below. That's just my opinion. And if you can get some money for him, that's another issue. I think the contract's really running out quick. I'm not sure we're going to get anything. I think Sevilla linked with him, but for me, listen, he was around a few years, and I don't know. I don't quite think it happened for him, did it? Yeah, that's the thing, mate. But it's all about the manager and the right position for him, hopefully. It's tricky, isn't it? I would like to think that if I bought someone, Barney, for that kind of money, he's my top signing, I put my arm around him, I make sure he's nicely settled in the area, make sure he's got a nice house, apartment, family are happy, a wife knows how to get to Harrods, make sure the credit cards, the gold ones with like 20 grand limit is activated, so she's happy, she leaves him alone, And then, and then I'll show him what pie and mash is, and more camaraderie with the team. And then, yeah, like I said, I'll give him every chance to succeed. And then obviously, you do need to put your foot down. Yeah, if you're giving him all of that, and then he's not quite happening, or he's not focused, then yeah, you kind of, yeah, you sort it out, don't you, mate? Listen, that's another thing, Robert. Patience, isn't it, mate? There isn't a lot of patience. I mean, look at Man United. I mean, we've seen what's happened to them, the way they won yesterday. And, yeah, I mean, people are saying the manager needs to be given more time. But listen, especially from the fans' point of view, they don't have any patience. Yeah, maybe I'm in that category sometimes. But, yeah, there's no patience. And it starts from the fans. And then the board reacts. It's the fans' reaction that prompts the board to do the sackings and the manager to drop players sometimes and things like that, really. So it's interesting, mate. Patience or not patience, how much do you give someone time? Interesting, isn't it? And everyone's got different thought on that, isn't it, mate? Premiership managers when players come. I think another thing again is, listen, I grew up with the Italian league being number one, so we lost a lot of our best players to the Italian league back then. Now, and I'm not complaining, right? I'm not complaining. I bet UEFA hates it. They hate us anyway. Example is we got that away fan ban. But what happened to AZ Alkmaar after what they did, running into where the family section was, right? So we get banned for what happened in the final, the thing thrown at the player. Yeah, you don't want to do things like that. I agree. But I just think they're more harsher with the British clubs. Wasn't there a stabbing in Newcastle fan in one of the two games ago? I might have heard that. Again, it's not nice, is it? Yeah, we are the best league, richest league by far, and you'll find in all the 3 European competitions, British teams will win it. All 3 or close to. We won 2 of them last season, didn't we? City and West Ham. I'm not complaining because you remember when the Spanish clubs, they were picking up everything, weren't they? Barcelona, Real Madrid, Sevilla, all those clubs. So I'm not going to complain. I'm not complaining. Centre mid, but what kind of centre mid, Captain Marvel? Do you think he's a CDM, or do you think he's bit of Paqueta, where Paqueta is half CDM, half attacking, or do you think he's completely attacking, like Berkovic, Ben-Yoon, Joe Cole? I don't know, because the Joe Cole types, yeah, he's a bit of a Joe Cole. He's not quite physical enough. He's not quite big enough. Lanzini's a bit like that, but I know the injuries killed the physical side of him off a bit, mate. Tricky, innit? I know why I'm always liked him, because he just runs and runs and runs like Suchek, right? That's a big tick in the box, mate. James is on the E20 Zone TV. James, I hope you're doing all right, mate. You doing all right? Good lad, good lad. Oh, fucking hell. All right. I know, I'm not used to them, mate. I can't even see anything now. Is that better? I'm struggling now. Captain Marvel making me struggle. I'm a fidgety shit anyway, you know that. Bloody scratch my nose half the time, you know me. I can't read it. Thing is, eyes get lazy, don't they? Eyes get lazy. Oh, I won't touch it now. I try not to. Yeah, Botman's in and out, isn't he? One time he's in, then he's out. That's the thing with doing fancy football team. All you guys out there who do the fancy football, it's frustrating because you think a lot of players are not going to be fit, and they all bloody play. I think Sakho's one of them, Saliba's one of them, Botman's one of them. Every game, and Maddison's one of them. After every game, I think every game Maddison hobbles off. And then he's like, oh, I'm not sure about him. And he always fucking starts the next game like all of the rest. So you do that kind of game. I don't believe in it. Wilson's definitely going to play. I'll be surprised. Because he will be like smashing the manager's door down saying, come on, I want to play in that game. Right, we've been going for 40 minutes, which is quite long, mate. Thomas, hope you're doing all right, mate. Thomas has got some news for us. Botman out. Oh, yeah, we went through that, didn't we, mate? There you go. I need better glasses, don't I? Box to box. He certainly is, isn't he? He's box to box. Yeah, I mean, Scott Parker was good, wasn't he? Scott Parker was good when he won the Player of the Year 3 times, mate. I remember doing a bit of research on that. That was good. Obviously, at the end, yeah, didn't go to the right clubs and stuff like that. But Scotty gave it all out there, didn't he? And another thing, again, I'm being honest, I don't think in terms of management he's going to hit the high heights that you guys thought he would. And And again, I'm not in favour of linking managers who have a West Ham link to the West Ham's job just because of that. I don't agree with that. But that's another thing. But Scotty certainly gave it all out there for us, didn't he? Yep. Definitely. That's why Antonio I wanted to press a bit more when we're out of possession, isn't it? Because then they all say that defensive duties start from the striker, isn't it, mate? So if Antonio, because Kane and Son used to be the high bar, and Salah and them where goalkeeper had like half a second to get rid of it because their striker's just pressing you, he's closing you down. But what we do, due to the physical state that Antonio's in more often than not, the back four opposition have all the time in the world to pass it sideways back to the goalkeeper because no one's closing them down. We're all pressed in the middle and the back, isn't it? That's kind of what it is, mate. But then going back to that way of playing, what you will find is that touched it again, didn't I? So what you will find is playing like that is very demanding. So the Klopp way, the old Poch way, and the current Arteta way, you'll find he'll have to change his squad every couple of years because the players will get burnt out playing like that. You watch Arsenal, you're thinking there's like... So when you play teams like Arsenal and Klopp, when he's right at the top, and even Poch's team, Dele Alli team, it always looked like they had two players more on the pitch because they were everywhere. When you had the ball, they didn't give you minutes rest, and then when they had the ball, they counter-attack, putting 5 people in the area. Amazing. Daniela. Yeah, I know. I definitely want to go to that next World Cup, Daniela. The one that's shared between America, Canada, and Mexico. I always wanted to go to Guadalajara, that stadium stadium's changed a bit, but it's that stadium that hosted the 1970 Pele 4-1 Brazil Cup winning team. And in 1986, when Argentina won it, a lot of history there. Amazing. I think the Maracana used to be another one that obviously revamped because it fell into disarray, but these are iconic grounds. And I'm hearing that San Siro is not going to be knocked down now, just improved a bit. I don't know, that could be true. That's again another iconic ground. But yeah, I think that World Cup, I've got a lot of family in Canada, so Mexico, I'd love to go there. In America, fairly easy places to get to, and fairly safe for fans, I think, and good food, so why not? Right, I'm going to call it a show. Let me see if I've got anything else. No, I think we discussed Bowen, Callum Wilson, Newcastle tactics, history. Well done to Sullivan. Thank you, Bowen. Love you. Release clause, we'll see what happens. But generally, I think, after the Liverpool defeat, where I was down a bit, we've won 2 games. Good news with Bowen. And again, today, I'm really looking forward to this game. Really interesting. Again, as soon as the full-time whistle blows, I'll be on instant review, try to get one of the other chaps on if I can. And let's see what interesting things we got to discuss. But you guys have a good morning, what's left of it, and hope you who are going to the game have a good journey, stress-free journey. And when we catch up at 4 o'clock later on, we have got a reasonable smile on our faces. So take care. Thanks for joining in, everyone. Bye. Take care.